DEA just revealed Mafia families currently active in the U.S. When the sun goes down over the city, a shadowy underworld comes out to play. The Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA, has recently dropped a bombshell by naming the Mafia families that are still functioning in the United States. From coast to coast, the Mafia's reach is far and wide, and their influence is felt in every corner of society. So without any delay, let's look into some of the great Mafia families. The Bonanos. Currently, the Bonanno family is slightly larger than the Colombos, but far smaller than the Gambinos and the Genovese. Michael Mancuso, their current leader, is a convicted murderer who served 10 years in prison for the 1984 murder of his wife. In 2006, he admitted to killing someone for the mob and received a 15-year sentence. The court ordered his release on March 12, 2019. The Bonannos' tight friendship with the Gambinos has been fruitful throughout history and continues to be so today. The FBI conducted a sting operation in November 2017 against members of the Bonanno and Gambino crime families, charging them with drug trafficking and loan sharking. It's unusual for two Mafia families to cooperate so closely these days. Accused racketeer and extortionist Joseph Camarano Jr. is on Mancuso's side after his acquittal in March 2019. The case that included the acquittal of consigliere John Porky Zanocchio was also dismissed. As the Bonanno family's highest ranks are made up entirely of free men, they have a good chance of succeeding. They have made some huge mistakes like the Donnie Brasco scandal, but they have always bounced back. The Patriarca family. Boston's organized crime has always had a unique structure compared to that of New York and Chicago. Irish culture has left a more profound mark on the cityscape of Boston than in most other areas. The Patriarca family in Providence, Rhode Island is the true mafia in the area. After nearly a century in business, the decades when Raymond Patriarca Sr. was at the helm were undoubtedly their most prosperous. Before his death in 1984, Patriarca Sr. elevated his son Raymond Jr. to the position of boss. Poor leadership skills led to Jr.'s retirement or forced departure. When Cadillac Frank Salemme found out that Whitey Bulger and Stephen Flemmi were turning him into the FBI in 1991, he turned government witness. From 1996 through 2009, Monocchio family patriarch Luigi Baby Shax Monocchio was at the helm. When Baby Shax left in 2009, Peter Limone took over as leader. A notable figure in the annals of the New England underworld, via the fabrications of contract killer Joe Barboza, he was one of 6 men convicted of Teddy Deegan's 1965 murder. After serving 33 years for his crime, Limone was awarded $26 million as compensation for his erroneous conviction. Carmine the Cheeseman D'Annunzio, a seasoned mobster and a massive man of around 380 pounds, is the current head of the family business. As D'Annunzio and Limone both call Boston home, the center of gravity has shifted away from Providence. Currently, Guglielmetti's crew consists of about 40 men under his command. The office makes great efforts to stay under the radar, yet they are relentlessly covered by the local media, particularly in Rhode Island. Members of the family in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Connecticut have generally gotten along. The Gambino crime family. The Gambino crime family has been at the top of the news cycle for several different reasons. The recent killing of family street boss Frank Cali and the subsequent release of Gene Gotti have been the two biggest stories. Street Boss has become the new moniker for the highest-ranked family member not in prison. Brother of John Gotti Sr., who spent 3 decades in jail for his role in a heroin trafficking operation, 71-year-old Gene Gotti is now free and active in the criminal underworld. When Gene was finally freed in September 2018, speculation about a probable Mafia war quickly spread. Sadly, Frankie Boy Cali was killed by gunfire on March 13, 2019. A resurgence of the Gotti period was in full swing, or so it seemed. A young man named Anthony Comello was responsible for Cali's death, and the circumstances were unrelated to the mob. Although Domenico Little Dom Cifalo is currently the head of the family, he has been essentially retired for the past 4 years. Nevertheless, Gene Gotti understands that state and federal officials will be watching his every move due to his last name. He has not yet declared his intentions on a possible coup. It is currently unknown if a new street leader has been appointed. Longtime family member since the days of John Gotti Sr., underboss Lorenzo Manino, and consigliere Mickey Boy Paradiso are also in the running. In addition to over 1,000 associates who are all making money, the family still has well over 100 made men. They will compete to become the next boss, even though it is the riskiest job on the planet. The family still has trouble sleeping due to government monitoring. 11 alleged Gambino gang members and affiliates were charged with racketeering in December 2019. Successful wiretapping operations have provided federal prosecutors with a mound of evidence. Since the 1980s, the Gambinos have faced this persistent danger. Soldier Vincent Fiore of the Fiore family was recorded and later arrested for allegedly claiming that Cali's death was for the best. Fiore is an armed member of the Gambino mob Andrew Capos group. Fiore believes that his captain should assume control of the family. The Gambinos are a shadow of their former selves. The surviving members, however, nonetheless constitute a formidable mafia clan. There are still connections between them and the local construction industry and other sectors, both in terms of blue-collar and high-tech crime. In the next couple of years, the Gambinos are anticipated to engage in a heated struggle for control of the government. Even while mafia members seldom kill one another in today's society, a fight for leadership of the country's most powerful crime family might spark a bloody gang war. It seems that nobody in the family will be happy no matter who ends up in charge. The Colombo family. After what seemed like 40 years with Carmine the Snake Persico imprisoned as ruler, the Colombo family is turning a new leaf. Persico, the longtime boss who was in prison for 30 years, passed away last year. It was a predictable but greedy move on Persico's part to make his son, Ali Boy Persico, acting boss. With Ali Boy receiving a life sentence, it's clear he was trying to maintain family control over the business. Andrew Russo, aka Andy Mush, is their street boss and acting boss in prison. The Colombos know all too well that they still function in factions, but at least they're not at war right now. The number of enlisted men and women has dropped to around 75 to 85 as a direct result of these wars. There are 5 families in New York, and they are the smallest ones. John Sonny Franzisi, 102 years old, is their underboss. He is the father of famous public speaker and former Colombo capo Michael Franzisi. It's reasonable to say that the Colombo family misses the Yuppie Don era. Genovese family. The Genovese family will be in the headlines because of the Gambino family. They have a varied income stream, and they're involved in low-hanging fruit like opioids. They've got a ton of cash sunk into bookmaking and a sizable number of higher-ups who are free to do their thing. There has been no top leader since Chin Giante. Chin's son, Vincent Esposito, and a few other Genovese associates were charged with racketeering and extortion in 2018, bringing the Gigante moniker back into the spotlight. The labor unions continue to be heavily influenced by them despite this. Esposito was discovered to have a written list of activities made by men. The Genovese family has an advantage due to their relatively calm transitions of power. The family's quietly expanding while rival families are busy fighting amongst themselves. They had previously held the position of top mafia family in the country and are poised to reclaim it now that the Gambinos are in disarray. Liborio Bellomo, who lived during Chin's rule, is currently serving as the organization's acting leader. Chin had originally chosen Bellomo to serve as acting head, but Bellomo ended up spending 10 years behind bars. Once interim boss Danny Leo went to jail, he was released in 2008 and immediately returned to his previous position. Bellomo and the Genovese family have a formidable underground presence. The LaRocca family. The LaRocca family in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is the closest to the dissolving of all active mafia groups in the country. They predate the emergence of the bootlegging industry. Throughout their history together, they had several different managers. John LaRocca became the leader in 1956 and remained in that position until he died in 1984. LaRocca established the family's legitimacy by establishing contact with influential New York figures. Up until his untimely demise in 2006, Michael Genovese served as the family's next ruler. Some of his top men had been convicted of narcotics trafficking before he passed away, which severely depleted their ranks. They are still active today, although their activities have been reduced to low-level loan sharking and petty gambling. Thomas Sonny Siacuti, the new boss, and Bobby Iannelli, the new underboss, are in charge currently. Have you heard about any of these families before?